Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Flat Earth UK Live. I am joined tonight by fake spaceman in space YouTuber, aka Jamie. How you doing, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent.
We've got no chat though.
We've got no chat.
No.
We suspected it might be the case. We've ticked all the right boxes. We've looked at all the right educational videos.
The trolls have already attacked us.
Having no chat, no doubt. I want to cut straight to the meat and to veg of what we're going to talk about tonight, which is basically how did you find out about the flat Earth? So let's get straight to it. How did you find out that the world was flat?
How did I find out the world was flat? Well, basically, do you want to hear about how I was on here before under a different YouTube name?
I mean, if you want to start with how you got into YouTube full stop, because I know you've been doing this for quite some time,
Yeah.
and, you know, start wherever you want to start.
Well, basically, I came onto YouTube a few years ago, and I started making videos looking into NASA and the NASA fraud. And then I saw some videos on Flat Earth that were made by the NASA channel.
So
Matt Boylan, yeah. And so that was basically what got me into the flat Earth to start with.
Okay.
So yeah. So basically, go on.
Well, I was going to say, you know, general stuff about you. I mean, before we get right into the thick of the flat Earth stuff, tell us a bit of background to you and sort of where you've come into being into conspiracy theory. So, I mean, how did you first start broadcasting, and what was it? What was your topic when you first started?
I don't know. Don't ask me why, but I started looking into 9/11 conspiracy. That's how it all started. So I started looking. I typed in 9/11 conspiracy on YouTube, and that is how I got into conspiracies.
Because you had another channel, didn't you?
Pardon?
You had another channel to begin with.
Yeah, the Fake Clouds in the Sky. That's the first channel I had. So that's how I got into conspiracies. Then I listened to a radio show there's a guy called Brian Staveley who had a radio show. I don't know if he still runs it now, but it was called Dose of Reality, and he did a show on the moon landing hoax. And basically, after watching that show, it was like, okay, so the moon landing is a complete hoax. So the next thing after that was, okay, so what else are NASA lying about? If they're lying about the moon landing, you know, what else are they lying about? So that is how I got into looking into NASA. And then I started to realize, hang on a second, I started to see the videos about the space station with these astronauts. I thought, this is weird, really, really weird. Like, these astronauts, it doesn't seem right. So that's when I started making videos on the NASA and the space station and the astronauts. And then from there, I came across the Flat Earth videos from Matt Boylan.
Where Matt came in.
Yeah. So I was on YouTube around about the same time that he started uploading videos, which was sort of end of 2011, about end of 2011, beginning of 2012. So it was like, okay, so the Earth is flat, which was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. But I kept making videos about the NASA and the space station because stuff like there didn't make any sense. And then it was just kept going back to, is the Earth flat? Is the Earth flat? So we kept looking into that and was like, okay, so I started making some videos on that. And then more and more people started making videos on the Earth being flat. And it was like, okay, there must be something to this. So, yeah, that was how I got into it. That's how I got started.
That was back in 2011, 2012?
Yeah, about the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. So that went on for like a couple of years, and then towards the end of last year, I took a break, and then I came back onto YouTube. So it's the thing. So a lot of people might only know me now as fake spaceman in space, but I was already on YouTube looking into all this stuff under the name Fake Clouds in the Sky, which I'm now getting a lot of my old subscribers back from before. And we were already looking into the flat Earth back then. And
Was it
NASA. And
when you got the information, when you first got it from Math Powerland, I mean, was it called the NASA channel back then? Was it actually?
It was NASA channel. Literally, when I came onto YouTube, he just about started uploading his videos. So I saw all that stuff from the beginning. So I saw him uploading his videos around about that time.
Was it the comedy stuff?
Pardon?
Was it the comedy stuff, or did he have the interview out that he did? I think it was with his ex-girl.
No, it was all that. It was the interviews. The interviews he did, and he's just basically here's a picture of the blue marble. You've never seen this, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, and it kind of blows your world apart. It's like, yeah, I've never seen that, and so how do you know what shape the Earth is? And then he put the story together. Look, you know, is the Earth is flat, and they're faking this picture from space, right? And the blue marble picture is fake. The moon landing is fake, and what they're actually hiding is the Earth being flat.
It's bonkers, isn't it? You know, even every time I hear the story laid out, it sounds more and more bonkers.
It does, and I just wish people would understand that a lot of people can't get their head around this, is that here's a picture of the blue marble, and you've never seen it. So basically the Earth that you're standing on, you've been standing on your whole life, you've never seen it. But you've been given this picture, yeah, from school, from literally when you were born, that this is your world. And so when somebody turns around and says, hey, you've never seen this, you've never been in space and seen this picture, so how do you know?
That was like his perception testing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was his perception test, and it was like, okay, cool. But to be honest, I have to say, with a lot of people in the flat Earth movement, when you hear the Earth is flat, it's like, yeah, something just clicks, like something just made sense. Yeah, everything just fell into place, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. I mean, for me, because I probably, like a lot of people, had been looking at loads and loads of conspiracies, and once you've sort of gone, well, that's interesting, but it might not necessarily be right, and then you move on to the next one and do the same. But as soon as you come across flat Earth, it's like they all line up. You know, almost, well, not even almost, they do line up perfectly, and you just can't quite believe the evidence of your own eyes when you see it all slot together.
Well, it's something I'm quite interested in, the psychology of it, is because why is it some of us can just, you know, be presented with this information and just say, yeah, that makes sense, and not necessarily just say, yeah, okay, believe it, but at least look into it. And why do some people just, yeah, you've gone off. Hello? Are you still there? Hey, Nathan. Yeah, your picture's back, but I can't hear you.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah. Where was I? I was in mid flow then.
Completely technical difficulties, as I say.
You're going to get that. Yeah. I'm interested in, like, people get presented with the Earth is flat, and it's just like, yeah, the Earth is flat. Wow. And things make sense, but so many people just can't handle that reality, and they will fight it and just not even look into it. So
blue pill takers.
Yeah. But here, I'd already looked into 9/11. That was the first conspiracy. I mean, to be honest, that's a big conspiracy to look into, the first one, right? So anything after that is, even though you say, yeah, flat Earth is bigger than 9/11, but that's still, do you know what I mean? You're open to look into anything after that once you see that 9/11 wasn't how they said it was. So I would say now I'm a no-planer. 9/11
we had this conversation a few days back, didn't we?
Yeah.
The nub of it. So you were trying to say that, but you've just sort of boiled it right down there. So you think there was no planes, it was missiles?
No, I'm a no-planer, and the whole thing was just a TV show. Well, actually, you said, didn't you? You said something about that, didn't you, when you saw it?
I can't remember what I said.
No,
I can't remember
well,
what I said.
I've spoken to people before who saw it on TV and thought it looked like a movie.
Oh, I could see all the edit marks. You could see.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
towers.
that's what
There was
you're saying before.
like a black line where they'd hidden the second layer. You know,
yeah.
Tried to disguise it on some of the feeds, and I think
but you didn't think of it at the time, though.
They all look the same. Every feed, it was like they'd cut different, making one look like a helicopter and making one look like it was on the side of a building, and you're like, well, hang on, these are the same shot. What's going on? You know,
if you look, well, that's from 2001, right?
Right.
If you look back at it, how bad does the footage look?
Oh, it's dreadful.
Just from 2001.
I'm sure I said at the time I was working in a shop that sold TVs, and we had really good tellies that were like top quality resolution, and it just looked really poor, you know, like noticeably.
Yeah, that's what you were saying before. Yeah.
It was not obvious. I mean, don't get me wrong, the TVs weren't like they are now, but you could still tell something wasn't good with the picture. That's all we boiled it down to, because at the time, obviously, you know, you don't think of conspiracy. You just your jaws hit the floor because what you're watching, and you know, you might say, "Oh, what's wrong with the picture?" Because we're enthusiasts about the picture, but you don't link the two together, not in the slightest.
No, but a lot of that makes sense. And just a quick story. Before that, they were talking about looking for Bin Laden, right? All the the intelligence services and that. And then they had this story out that this reporter from CNN just waltzed into Afghanistan and had a chat with Bin Laden and had all this kind of interview with him in his cave. Yeah, this was like 2 months before 9/11 happened. And then I was like, I said to someone, that doesn't make any sense. If they're all looking for him, how is it this reporter? You can find the video. The video's on their YouTube. It's like, how can this reporter just go and meet this guy that all the intelligence services are looking for? And that's when he said there's going to be an attack on America. Yeah. So only now, really, what I'm saying is, back then, I was asking questions, but you know, I'm sure this happens to a lot of people. You something doesn't make sense. You might question it, but you won't look into it any further. You'll just like kind of brush it off and just get on with life, yeah. And so, only looking back now it all makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's certain characters that don't, though. People just look and they can't help but carrying on looking. I was a bit like that with subliminal messages. You know, everyone else was getting frustrated around me while I constantly presented them with stuff that they frankly couldn't care less about. You know, but to me it was astonishing. You know, so amazing that stuff's hidden in plain sight.
Well, you said that about the movies now, that you can hardly watch movies. I think a lot of people are like that now, aren't they? Like, you just see all this stuff in the movies now.
Oh, it's proper depressing. I mean, I'm a big movie fan. I bought a computer and bought like 3, I don't know how big they are, zillion terabyte things, you know, big hard drives, and filled it with every DVD. I was about, you know, 2,000 discs or 2,000 movies, you know, probably 3,000 or 4,000 discs. And it took me a few months to get them all on. And then I found out the Earth was flat. It's like, go to watch Star Wars.
Yeah, I know. This is what people need to understand. The flat Earth and the space program go hand in hand, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it's all linked, right? It's all linked. It has to be. People have got to understand that the space program is a complete cartoon fantasy, and movies. That's all it is. It's a real life movie.
I've said that on one of my video logs. It was a great movie while it lasted. You know.
Well, it's lasted for what, have they lived off there for what, 5 decades? Should we say? I mean, from the moon landing, from the fake moon landing.
It's a long old time to be spending cash hand over fist just to fool people.
And then they're like, oh, it's like, so you ask a question. This is what I don't get. I don't understand how people can even defend this stuff. It's like, okay, So why haven't you gone back to the moon? Oh, we can't afford it. It's too expensive. Okay, why don't you stick a rover on the moon? Well, why would you want to do that? And then they've been sending these rovers to Mars. They've been sending rovers to Mars for 50 years.
Bonkers.
But it's telling me and then they come up with these stories. This is the one that gets me, that they want to send a spaceship to the asteroid belt. It'll take a year to get there, right? Pluck an asteroid out, bring it all the way back to the moon, stick it in the moon's orbit. But get this, it'll have to be on the dark side. And so you're like, why the dark side? Well, obviously, so nobody can point their telescopes up and see that there's nothing going on. And then they want to send some astronauts up there to land on this asteroid. It's like, well, why don't you just go back to the moon? Oh, no, it's too expensive. It doesn't make any sense.
30 billion.
When you really look into it, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
It don't make no sense.
No.
I mean, the problem is, I think the reason people struggle with it, and I can completely understand, is because there's no answer for what is there. You can get a lot of theory out of people. I mean, I haven't got a clue what's going on up there. I don't know if there's a dome. I don't know if it's a load of water. We don't know. That's the bottom line. So to go from knowing that there's stars millions of miles away and what you're looking at, you could technically travel to, the media is starting to tell us that we're getting closer and it's going to be warp drive. You just know they're going to call it warp. I'm sure I've seen the reference to warp drive in, reality. And that's what they'll give us, if it doesn't crumble completely.
I read a comment from somebody saying, they basically said, oh, you're taking all our answers away from us, but you're not replacing them with anything.
Exactly.
It's like,
very well put. That's exactly the problem. You can give them speculation, you can give them theory. You can say, well, this is what's written in the Bible. But that's not showing them.
Yeah, but when you break it down, so when you're looking into the flat Earth, right? Here's the thing: when you look into the flat Earth and does the Earth spin and all this stuff, you quickly realise that it's all theory. It's all theory,
right?
And so when people say, "Well, you're taking away what we know, and what are you replacing it with?" It's like, well, what do you know? You only know theory. You only know what people have said is going on, according to what they say. And where's their evidence? This is the thing, there is no evidence when you look into it.
Well, there's plenty of shill evidence. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that gets presented to us as evidence, and we're told of mathematical certainties in some instances, things are...
You mean to the shape of the Earth?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're told that's fact. We've got photos, like you say, it's the first thing we came in on, When I see the blue marble shots, especially the ones that are now rendered and self-confessed renderings from NASA, the blue marble shots, that all I see is the subliminal embeds. I can't unsee them, and it's mad. You want to go back to being, a globe head in some respects, because you see that image and you can't piece together the sort of freedom that you had of not caring.
You can't go back after knowing that image is just completely fake. There's no way. I mean, how can you? Especially when they only gave us one in 1972. So here's another thing, right? So they went to the moon they landed men on the moon 6 times, right? But they only waited till the 6th time to take a picture of the Earth. So This is the thing. Well, this is things like people say, "Where's your evidence?" So I'll say, "Okay, here's a question for you." Okay, the first man. Imagine you're the first person, right, to leave Earth, and go to the moon. Yet the first people to leave this planet and go to the moon and stand on the moon. Okay, let me ask you, what would be one of the first things you would do?
On the moon?
All your TV cameras and stuff.
Well, apart from probably being terrified of death, I'd probably be elated. I'd be so beside myself with excitement. But go on, what are you driving at? You're talking photographs. I'd probably take a picture of Earth immediately. Right,
so explain this to me. Why did Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin never film the Earth, and they didn't even talk about it? Well, they're still on the moon.
They use the NAF cameras as well. All the pictures seem to be from rubbish cameras. The film, sorry.
Wouldn't you be up there like, oh my God, here's the Earth, and like filming it? They never even filmed it. And people will argue, and they'll say, Oh, well, we didn't go there to look at the Earth. We went there to look at the moon. Like the first people.
What's the quote? We came for the moon and we discovered the Earth. That's like the condensed version.
Yeah, but they didn't film it. They didn't film the Earth. You'll find there's one video about 5 seconds from Apollo 17. So that's the 6th mission to the moon, where they supposedly put the camera on the moon for about 5 seconds. The Earth, sorry, and there's the Earth, and that's it.
5 seconds.
I mean, does that not sound like just not weird?
Of course. You know, they have to tell people to stop filming out of a window of a plane. All people want to do.
Actually, let me just ask you this, right? You know when we stand on Earth and we look up at the moon, right? Yeah. I mean, if you're standing on the moon, would you be? I'm just asking, would you be looking down at the Earth or like up or parallel? I mean, would it make any difference? I don't know, because let me just ask you. Give me your answer first, and then I'll say.
Go on. Where would we be stood in relation to the moon?
Yeah, would it make any difference?
I would have thought so. It would change the angle of where Earth is.
Well, I'm just saying, when you're stood on Earth and you're always looking up at the moon, right?
Oh, I see what you're driving at now. Okay, that's clever. I like that.
No, I'm just asking the question because all the pictures are like looking, and they're looking up at the Earth. I'm just wondering, would it be like that?
Yeah. Well, the answer we know. Well, we do know the answer's no, because they haven't been there. So it's all contrived, and we know this. So
anyway, so just quickly, just getting back to the flat Earth stuff is, if they fake the picture of the Earth, is that reason to suspect that they're hiding the shape of the Earth? I think that's one of the things that people try and point out.
Well, most definitely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Otherwise, why can they not give us a picture of the Earth? And also, I'm going to look for my notes here. High altitude balloons. Have you ever seen in any of these high altitude balloon videos the Earth moving?
Well, this scientific argument would be that it's all being carried along, including the balloon and all the atmosphere right up to the very top. You know, Eric Dubé's argument with that is that when you get to the technical top of the atmosphere where you pop out into zero gravity, at that point, you'd get like an effect where it would rip the shuttle or whatever it was to shreds, because you're going from everything being dragged along at whatever speed relative to the Earth below it, and then you pop out into nothing. But the whole ship doesn't just pop out. You know, some of it's going to pop out into the zero G environment, while the rest of it's being ripped along at however many.
Yeah, but I mean, these balloons going up at least to 100. I mean, they say some of them go up to 120,000 feet. I mean, surely you would see. The only time we see the Earth spin is with the fake NASA imagery from the ISS, right? From the space station.
Which is awful. You know, journalism doesn't.
Yeah. So before, when I was first on YouTube, one of the other things I looked into was satellites and communications, and I still cannot get my head around all these satellites and all these different orbits. I mean, do you know how many different orbits they claim there are? I mean, there's at least three. There's at least 3 different orbits, and it's like, okay, so how can I just say, well, we'll stick a satellite there and it will go around the world once, and then if we stick it out a bit further into that orbit, it will go around a few more times. If we stick it out there 22,000 miles, right? How did they know? This is what I want. That's my question. How did they know geosync orbit was 22,000 miles away? How did they know they could put a satellite that far out, and then it will just rotate relative to the Earth? So the images you get, like the satellite images, where it looks like the Earth is not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's geosync orbit.
Yeah, geostation.
Geostationary orbits, where the satellite is supposedly moving relative with the Earth. Yeah, so as the Earth spins around like that.
Yeah, and they present us with.
But then you've got different orbits where you can put it there, and then you've got the space station that flies around 16 times, and now they've got this. What's the new one they just sent up? The Discover telescope that they just went. We'll just send that 1,000,000 miles away, and then we'll just stop, turn around, and we'll have this perfect picture of the Earth. And then they're like, we'll just send this one out there, and it can just point right at the sun and not move. I mean, it when you think about it, it makes no sense. When you've got the Earth spinning, you've got all these like different orbits, and then it's all flying around the sun. Yeah,
and then that time lapse that I use on the little screenshot at the beginning of this, you know, that's the real orbit, and you see it. It's just nuts. You know, we're flying through space at 500,000 miles an hour around this black hole nobody's ever actually proved. You know, it's just...
nobody's proved. That was one of my first videos. One of the first videos I put out was because I didn't do the photo video straight away, but I did one about the Earth not spinning.
Right.
Because I was looking at planes, and I was thinking, well, if you can send a plane west, yeah, and the Earth's spinning east,
yeah,
surely you could like orbit the planet in not in a very short time. But then people always bring up this, oh well, yeah, but the atmosphere is all moving together.
Of course it is. Right? Yeah, and Coriolis.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. None of it makes sense. What makes sense is that Earth is not
lie, isn't it? It's lie on top of lie to account for errors.
Well, if you go back, if you look into all the history of this, one of the things is, how did we get here? How are we here with this theory of the Earth spinning and flying around the sun? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The heliocentric model.
Yeah.
So if you look into it, it's like, okay, how did we get to this? And it comes down to people supposedly pointing telescopes out at things, lights in the sky that they claim are planets, and they claim, well, yeah, we can see all these eclipses of the moons and the shadows on these planets and things like that. And so we've got this heliocentric model. Well, back then, according to what they talk about, they said, okay, great, but it doesn't, because they thought the Earth was stationary, right? It didn't move. It was fixed.
Yeah.
Right. So when people said, well, it's flying around the sun, they were like, okay, the Earth's flying around the sun. They went, yeah, but it doesn't work, because how do you get night and day?
It's bad. We get the same questions now.
If you've got a fixed Earth flying around the sun, how do you get night and day? Right? Now, this question was posed back then, and they said you can only get that with the Earth spinning on its axis. Right? That's where we've got. That's why we're here with all this stuff. And it was Galileo, Copernicus, Kepler, all these. I mean, I call them celebrities. Yeah, they're just like movie celebrities or pop stars or whatever. They're just names. Now, they said, yeah, okay, it works if the Earth spins. Right, they never proved the Earth spins. This model, this is what people don't understand. This heliocentric model only works if the Earth spins on its axis. That's it. And they never proved it, though.
The scientists will always poo-poo. Is it the Michelson-Morley and Airy's failure?
Well, real scientific experiments have been ignored, brushed under the carpet, and we have, again, theory. And when you look into, this is what people don't understand, when you look into all this stuff, they're just stories. They're theories and they're stories, and there's no evidence to back them up whatsoever.
That's so the key. The Earth, evidence is the evidence.
They've never proved the Earth spins. And in fact, every experiment has proven that the Earth does not spin. But this whole model relies on the Earth spinning. Right? So then they're saying it's a sphere and you've got two poles, yeah, and it spins on its imaginary axis, but it's tilted at whatever was it, 23 point whatever degrees. Yeah, But then they say the poles are flattened, and because they say it spins, people were like, well, hang on a minute, you've got this. Is it centrifugal or centrifugal? Which is the one?
Centrifugal.
I think it's centrifugal.
Centrifugal.
There's two in there, but the one that would make it, if you spin a ball and everything will just fly off it.
Yeah, centrifugal.
Right. So then, centrifugal. So they're like, well, it's this perfect sphere and it spins on its axis and it flies around the sun. So then the next question was, well, okay, but won't everything be like pushed out to the middle? Yeah. And so then you get a Blake spheroid. And then it's like, well, how does everything stick to the Earth? And it's like, gravity. It's like, where does it end?
Do you watch much of Brian Mullen with Gravity thing?
Right, yeah, he's only done 3 videos, hasn't he?
I know, it's such a shame, isn't it? I could have swore he uploaded a 4th one, but I think he might have deleted it.
Did he?
Well, I could have swore I saw a 4th one. Maybe it's the Mandela effect. I don't know. I thought he'd uploaded 4.
Could be the Mandela effect.
Could be. But yeah,
what's your name, Neil?
All of his videos are superb. They break down, the gravitational constant and G, and just.
But I love all that. But he does it with all the maths and stuff. I'm not a maths person.
Me neither.
I kind of get what he's saying, but I go along with what he's saying. But I still, it doesn't matter to me. To me, it's just common sense and logic when you look into it. Yeah? So it's like, okay, so how do you prove gravity then? So gravity is supposed to be 2 objects of mass attract to each other. And so, so where's the experiment to prove it? And it's like, and then you're like, well, it's this
Cavendish
experiment, and then you look into that, and that's a complete joke.
It is the 2 balls.
Yeah. That he hung them in this is the story, right? He hung them in a shed, but then he had to stand outside to film it through the window because he didn't want his body mass to interfere with it. So I would be like, well, what did he clear out all the spiders and the rats and the mice, and did he have a cat? What if a cat walked through there? So
what about
anything could have.
The Earth itself, it's stuck on something that's got a huge influence on it.
Yeah, and this guy was like a super rich elite guy, yeah, from a real rich family, and apparently came up with this experiment just before he died or something. So when you really boil it down, it's just fairy tale stories. And so why, if it's a ball, if it's a globe, yeah, and it's spinning and it's flying around the sun, why is it when you look into it, all you find are fairy tale stories backed up with absolutely no evidence, just nothing? And because you must know when you speak to people. Oh yeah, we worked out the Earth was a sphere thousands of years ago.
Yeah, but we didn't.
No, but I'm saying that's what people will say to you.
Well, Math Powerland's answer to that is, well, before we actually went up and saw, we knew what it all was. Doesn't that seem a little suspicious? Nobody's actually gone up there and had a look, but we know exactly what it is, how big it is, how much mass is inside it, what all the composition of all the different masses are, how much iron there is, how it all works. That's all before seeing anything or digging. Before doing anything.
Yeah, and so
down with maths.
Yeah, if you look into it, they like the sphere, and they can work out maths with a sphere because they say, oh yeah, it all works good. That doesn't mean it's a sphere though.
But G is beautiful. I mean, I've got to take my hat off.
G?
The gravity, the gravitational constant and G, just an astonishing piece of maths in terms of how it links everything together. It's back to Brian Mullen, isn't it? When he boiled it all down and says that basically it's a way of ignoring mass. I can't do it.
I don't know. It was when I did that video where I dropped an apple on my head and people thought I'd lost it. But again, I'm saying it. You've just got this story like, oh yeah, Newton sat under a tree and an apple fell on his head, and it's like gravity.
Yeah.
That's how everything is.
They knew what goes up must come down. These people aren't stupid. They don't need another another theory.
Yeah, so why put that story out there and then try and say that this theory was built around it?
Better than showing the real Band-Aid.
So yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, have you had, throughout the time that you've been doing YouTube videos, have you had like more extreme views? Have you like dabbled, well, I mean, have you dabbled in stuff that's like even more wacky? There's loads of crazy stuff out there. Has it always been mostly NASA and mostly flat
Earth? Mostly, it was NASA to start with, then flat Earth, and I did get into a little bit of you know, all the student hoaxes and stuff like that,
right?
And all those sort of hoaxes. But when I had a break, I basically deleted my channel, deleted all the videos, had a break for no personal reasons, came back, and as I said, no, just stick to what I know and what I like, which was NASA and the flat Earth. And until I see the Earth from space, it's flat. And there's too much evidence pointing to it being flat.
Oh, gotcha.
Like there's just so much evidence. There's just so much evidence. I'm just looking at my notes now, thinking.
When you put out this stuff a few years back or a couple of years ago, when we spoke last, you were telling me about how it's happening now, obviously, but you got lots of trolls that basically sort of.
Yeah, we had that. Yeah, this is something I want to explain is. So you basically had Matt Boylan, the NASA channel. Now, he was the only channel, and there was another channel that was called Archangel Mike. He's got a lot of. He had a lot of videos up about NASA fakery, and then you had your moon landing conspiracy videos and all that stuff, right? But when I came onto YouTube back then, there was nothing. That nobody was looking in, really trying to expose NASA or anything, as far as that was concerned.
But you said you had the same sort of trolls trying to stamp down, you know, and use the wicked lies.
Yeah. So when I started making flat Earth videos, and there was a few other people making flat Earth videos, there was literally just trolls constantly, and the same ones I've seen them. They're still around now. They're around now. It's quite weird because there's like a flat Earth movement now, which is fantastic. It's great. I love it. That loads of people have looking into this stuff, yeah, and I've learned tons, even though I was looking into it before. But it's the same thing. The flat Earth videos just get trolled all the time, and so you have to ask yourself why. Why do people care? Why do these videos keep getting trolled? And also, I've seen a lot of channels back then that wouldn't touch flat Earth who now are looking into flat Earth. So I think it's just one of those things where even people who are hardcore conspiracy people, right, and I'm talking about before, would not even touch flat Earth. And now I see these channels now which you know, making flat Earth videos, which is great. But yeah, the question, you have to ask the question, why are people constantly trolling flat Earth videos? Like, someone can put a flat Earth video up, and I guarantee you'll see one of the same names will be up there straight away. Like one of the first comments.
Know them. I've got to know the trolls.
Yeah, I could write a list, and obviously they're still here now. A lot of the ones from back then are still here now.
Yeah, you get the same comments from the same people every video, and they'll happily contradict themselves from one video to the next in terms of how they're spinning the lie out. You know, it's great. You know, that's from chatting to them and keeping in touch with them. You can sort of point that out to them in each and every video, so you keep like a constant conversation going rather than keeping it relevant to whichever video they're commenting on. Right.
Yeah, I think half of it's just a waste of time, to be honest.
I don't see it that way. I mean, I'm not fully. For instance, NASA, I haven't got a clue about the moon landings. I mean, I've seen them, and you know, I've got a vague idea about them.
You made some videos on them, haven't you?
Well, I hadn't got a clue what I was doing. You know, I put it out there and just sort of put my perspective on what I saw. I can't remember who it was, but someone said, just look at it with fresh eyes and try and forget everything you knew. Well, I thought, well, I didn't know that much about the moon landings to begin with. Let's just have a look. And then I put my take out and found out all the information about it, the lie, through the trolls. They all filled me in. And it's great because, you know, as you hear it new, you can pick it apart. And you know,
Right.
I don't care when people say, well, you're just thick, you don't know what, you know, they get really quite aggressive, and you know, but I've got really thick skin, so I don't care. I'll happily put my neck on the line and say,
You definitely need thick skin if you're going to come on YouTube, make videos, and put yourself out there. There's no doubt about that.
yeah.
If you haven't, it will make you grow thick skin.
Or you'll give up pretty quickly.
Or you'll give up, right? Yeah.
I mean,
Which is one thing I want to encourage people to make videos and, you know, talk about what they want to do, yeah, and not be put. I'm sure the trolling puts people off.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was just about to ask: was there any points where you had doubts?
Oh yeah, there's definitely. There's well, how do you mean doubts to what? Just the constant trolling?
Well, not because of the trolling necessarily. I mean, just when they pick out something. You made a video log about it. You were saying that they'd ask you about meridian lines and sunsets coming up at certain positions.
Oh right, yeah.
You know, and the problem is that they've got the lie worked out really well. So you know, they've got the
but again, people don't look into the history of all that. How all that comes about. It doesn't mean anything. They had a sphere, right? They had this sphere, and they've worked out all these lines and stuff. They're imaginary lines. They're not tangible. So when someone comes to me and says, "Oh well, how do you explain the sun at a certain point on a certain line?" It's like, well, I can't see the line. Where is it? What I don't know what. But you want me to? You know, it's like trying to. It's like giving somebody a square and say, put that through that triangle hole.
We've got no reference. We've not got real references. I mean, I forgot.
If you look in, do you know what? It's quite funny. Right? I just watched a show on BBC4, and it was one of these map shows. Yeah, this guy's done map shows before. He's all into maps and stuff. I mean, he says none of the maps have ever been correct, and they are all drawn by the elites, the establishment, for imperialistic visions. Okay, you cannot take any map, none of them. You can't take any of them literally. Yeah. None of them are drawn to scale. They're only drawn for their agenda. So, okay, so in this program, right? This program, the Cassinis, this family, the Cassinis, I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're like mapping out France, right? This is what they said in this program. They wanted to map out the borders and the coastline of France, and they were like, "Oh, we don't know how to do it. How do we do it accurately?" And this is what they said. They said, "Oh yeah, this guy had some telescopes, Cassini, looking up in the mapping out the eclipses of Jupiter, the moons of Jupiter."
Right.
And then he had all these guys all around France, and they're all doing this, like, mapping out the eclipses of Jupiter, and that's how they mapped out the borders of France.
Using Jupiter.
It doesn't make any sense. It's completely crazy. This is why I said in that, going back to what you just said about the video I said about not taking any notice, particularly of the stuff up there, is because that's half of why we're here. Now, when I was on here before, somebody put out video, we can estimate when so-and-so eclipses of the moons of Jupiter or whatever, and you have a flat earther can do that. And it was like a challenge video. Now, at the time, I didn't understand, because I'm not an astrologer. Yeah, I don't understand anything about all that stuff up there. And so when people kind of throw the stuff at you, like they know what they're talking about, it's a little bit intimidating and you don't really understand it. No one understands it. They want you to believe there's a South Pole and a Southern Pole star. There isn't. Right? They want you to believe about all these eclipses of the moons of Jupiter and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, anybody now listening to this, go and Google and try and find some videos and real images of this stuff that they talk about. You won't find it.
Well, the South Pole.
They'll do all this predictions. Yeah, we can predict all this stuff. And I said to this guy, I was messaging this guy, and I said, "Cool, okay, can you send me some evidence?" He would send me these links, and I was like, "Oh damn, he's sent me some links. I'm gonna get busted here." So I open up these links, and it's just nothing. It's just like an astronomy page. I'm like, well, "Where's the video? Where's the pictures?" And if you go on this is the whole thing. This is the whole thing about when I started trying to expose satellites. You Google, and it's like, where's the picture? Well, like, where's the photographs? You've just got pictures, yeah? You've got NASA, CGI. Where's the real video? You'll never see it. But they'll always throw this at you.
But they'll give you plenty of pictures of the ISS. Plenty of pictures of the ISS, plenty of pictures
and
of the...
Here's another thing, right? Here's another thing, yeah? The ISS is a hoax. When we were saying it was a hoax, we're not saying, like, people are like, well, no, there's something up there. I can see it. You can see it with the naked eye. It's like, so you're looking at it and think, hang on, you can see it with the naked eye.
Have you heard of this theory? I got this off Jeranism's live feed yesterday. Someone was, I can't remember where I read it, but someone was saying about I'm sure I've got the name wrong straight away, but there's something that's proposed to be like a star or a planet that's just always been in orbit that the ISS could be.
No.
Does that sound?
Ignore that. No, ignore that.
Don't buy that.
No, not at all. No, I've heard that. I saw that, heard it. As soon as I heard it, I was like, no. It's a drone or something, whatever. It ain't just because it has. No. It might be, I don't know, but I don't think so. Anyway, you're saying, oh, the ISS is fake, it doesn't exist, and people are like, but I can see it. What is someone? This is what we always just get, right? Is somebody holding a toy ISS in front of my telescope, sort of thing? Yeah. The same comment all the time. Now, yeah, there's something up there. People have seen it. I'm not saying it isn't something up there, but just think about this, right? You see a plane, yeah, at 30. What did planes fly at? About 35,000 feet.
Yeah.
Right. So the ISS is 1.5 million feet. So if you're seeing the ISS with the naked eye, just think about that for a second. You can barely see a plane, a jet, at 35,000 feet. Yeah, and people are like, well, I can see the ISS. And it's like, okay, it's 250 miles high. It's 1.5. It's like, what, 30 times higher than a plane? And then when people do zoom in on it with a camera or telescope, what do they see?
Rainbow.
They just see this dot, this little light thing. And so I did a video. I put a video on there's a video on my channel, and basically I was just showing. I found this really cool video of a guy flying a drone around at night time with lights on, and when it went far off, it looked just like the ISS.
Nah.
Yeah, it's on. Go and look. It's on my channel.
Have a look.
It looks just like the ISS flying around in the sky. And people, it doesn't fly across the sky like people say.
Well,
actually, in that video, I've got a clip of people looking at it, talking, and they even say, "Wow, why does it look so?" Because the lady says, "How far away is it?" And she's like, 250 miles away, and the lady's like, "Well, why does it look so big if it's so far away? Like it looks a lot closer." Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever's up there is not 250 miles up. 1.5 million feet. Go and do it. Anyone, go and do it on Google Earth, yeah? Go on Google Earth, because what they reckon it's the size of a football stadium.
It's not very big.
Right. Well, they reckon that's how big it is now. Size of a football stadium, like a football pitch. Yeah,
Right.
like a football, like a football, American football pitch thing.
Yeah.
Like for Americans, yeah? Go and pick your favourite one on Google Earth, zoom out 250 miles, and tell me if you can still see it.
No way. Absolutely no way.
So there is something up there, but it ain't the ISS. And also, if you look on the ISS live feed, you'll see it doing all this weird stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, how does it cover every country in the world when it's just supposed to be doing this sort of orbit around the Earth?
And hardly ever show us anything. It's always over ocean.
And also, yeah, this is another thing. So you'll argue with people, and they say, "Oh well, there's an ISS live feed." Now, have you checked it out? Again, I've got videos on my channel showing that it always cuts out. It's not a live feed. It's like every 5 minutes it's cut out, and so it's like, hang on, how can it cut out when you've got all them satellites up there? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's complete. The whole thing is a fraud.
And then
the whole
it never encounters any. Why does it never encounter any satellites? Why do we never see another satellite on the ISS feed?
Yeah, there's nothing. They want to tell us that they want us to believe all this stuff is up there, and you say, "Can you show us?" Well, no, you just can't see it.
The problem is they keep chucking stuff into the mix. So in the general media that sort of bleeds into people's consciousness on a daily basis, they have things like, they had an interview recently, my dad was telling me about it, that they had this stewardess and she's there talking about Concorde and saying about seeing the curve at 60,000 feet. And people just hear this. They're not talking about curvature. She's just dropped it into the conversation. I mean, we were saying this just before we came on. Everything on TV is contrived. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, it's never shot in order. It's heavily edited, and
just because it says live, just because it's got the word live in the corner, doesn't mean it's live. But that's enough to make you think it's live, right?
We had
just have a little red dot, like now on the screen here, it says live, but it doesn't mean we're live. I presume we are because it says live there.
Or we are live, because I'm on my own. I can't monitor this really. So what could be happening is we're having a lovely chat, and what they're getting is you chatting to yourself and just a long pause, nothing going out.
That wouldn't be anything new. That wouldn't be anything new.
But yeah, they stick stuff in the media all the time. You know, it's non-stop lies, because the whole thing's run by psychopaths, and they love lying. You know, even when it's not necessary. You know, even when there's no need to lie, they'll lie anyway. It's
yeah. I hate it, and I don't get it, and I hate it. I kind of get it, but hate it. And when people say to you, "Oh, why do you care? Why do you bother?" It's like, well, why?
Well, I was going to ask a question. I mean, one of my questions was going to be, why are you so passionate about it? I mean, as a Brit, NASA's not our money.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that. I was going to say, I think we should concentrate on ESA.
Right, like wakey's.
Yeah, you're right. NASA aren't stealing my dollars. Why should I care?
Yeah.
Let's focus on ESA from now on.
It's all the same thing.
Well, you know, they went to the moon, didn't they? Apparently. So I mean,
basically, yeah. I mean, that's what I think it boils down to. That's fine.
Here's a point I've got to make, because people I mean, how do you make people understand? They'll say, well, there's loads of countries. How could they all? They're all in on it. They're all in on it. Every country is elites, controllers are lying to their own people. And they're all together, and they're not fighting each other. They want us to believe that we're all at war with each other. But that's how it works. Look at the International Space Station.
You're right, and they hide it in plain sight. We see them meeting around a massive table.
The UN.
That they're all in cahoots, as you're, kind of putting it.
Well, look at the International Space Station. I mean, okay, let's just think about this, right? I mean, please, people, get your head around this. NASA, like the space agency, they put men on the moon. In fact, they sent men to the moon 9 times. Yeah, they put men on the moon 6 times. And they can't even get to the space station today in 2015. They have to rely on Russia. A Russian Soyuz rocket, right? Get this. It's the same age as the Saturn V rocket that took men to the moon. Does that make any sense?
Nah.
And they pay them. Again, I've got a video on my channel. They pay them, but at the same time they say, oh, we're putting sanctions on Russia.
It's all nonsense. It's right back from when they were all on Antarctica. But the problem is that when people hear about stuff like Antarctica, they it seems like it's a continent and they're all on the same place. And in reality, they're miles and miles apart from each other, guarding their own bit. You've got
there's definitely some
control through the Falklands. And
there's definitely some. Yeah, go on. No, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, if you've got a vague idea what the map is, I mean, this boils back to Flat Earth Baby, and all it really proving is that we've got maps, like you said earlier, that no one's got a real idea. You can measure the sun based on our maps, but we don't know the real distances. So we can tell it's closer, but we can't tell how far exactly, and probably never will till we've got accurate maps. So, it's
well, actually, just that program I was just telling you about there before with the map thing.
Yeah,
they were talking to. I can't remember now, but they were like just a sort of tribe in where was it? I can't remember exactly where it was, but anyway, they made maps, but they ignored the north. They didn't even acknowledge the north. They just made maps in the west and where they were. I can't remember which ocean it was. So, this whole thing about north, south, east, west, you have to just dismiss all of it. It means nothing. It only means something to the controllers, the people, the elites, whoever. You have to just scrap everything.
Well, they want us, the investors in it. It's Google Earth. You said go look at Google Earth in terms of raising off to look at what was it in terms of the ISS distance from us. But Google Earth, to me, that is the new map, and it's completely contrived and completely controlled. You don't know from one day to the next what's changed on that quote unquote map. Because it isn't a map. It's not.
No, it's not a map. It's not a map.
Rendering that's done daily, or you connect to their server and get that information.
People actually think that Google Earth is real. They actually think satellites film that. Like, they think satellites film that. Now, you've got these geostationary satellites.
You mean people think they say 24? Is that what you're trying to say?
Pardon?
Saying that people think that
people think that Google Maps is actually real. I mean, the Google Earth thing, they think that's real. Some people think that's real. It's computer generated, 100%.
Yeah, but I can't quite believe people even believe it. I can't believe that even globe heads would think that was real.
No, I've had these conversations with people. Seriously, this is sort of mentality you're dealing with. Let me just ask you this question, Nathan.
Go on.
Because one of the things you asked me is, did you ever have any doubts about the flat Earth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking that one of the sticking points for me was the lunar eclipses.
Right.
It was like, oh well, it's like, yeah, damn, I don't get that. Well, if the moon is 237,000 miles away, how can the Earth be casting a shadow that far onto the moon? That doesn't make any sense to me. And also, when you look into it, you only have a cartoon.
Yeah.
You only have a cartoon. And I'm like, well, just show me from space. Show me the eclipse. And then people say, no, you can't do it. It's too hard. It costs too much. It's like, we've had this 60-year space program and they can't show us the lunar eclipse. Not even one.
Be wicked if you could, though. Don't you reckon?
How hard can it be? Just you put a spaceship or whatever, or a balloon, and you have the Earth here, and you can just pan and go, there's the sun, pan, there's the moon, and there's the Earth in the middle.
But they won't even let us have balloons up at night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
No, because we'd probably see the moon, or we'd see the sun in the distance, or, we'd see something we shouldn't.
There was in that rocket. Was it the rocket that went up? By the way, I don't believe that rocket went as high as they say. I don't think things can go that high.
Right.
I've done a video on that as well.
Which one are you referring to?
The rocket that went up and then saw the moon. They claimed it went 73 miles high. Now,
right.
They sent that little amateur rocket from the Earth up to 73 miles. Now, you have to understand that they struggle. If anyone looks into Zoom climbs, which is the thing Richard Branson was doing.
Right.
Yeah, where they drop a rocket plane. So basically, they take the rocket plane on a plane up to 50,000 feet. Then they drop the rocket plane, and then that shoots up. And that doesn't even get that high. So to think that little amateur rocket went from the ground to that high is... I question that. Although it did see the moon, apparently.
Yeah, sounds. I've got no comment. I don't know the story, to be perfectly honest with you. It shows how poor my current affairs are on this subject.
Well, no, it's not. It's not that. I mean, how long have you been looking into this stuff?
Since August. Right.
So I've been looking into it for 4 years. So I pretty much know everything. I know NASA. I know all the videos, everything inside out. So yeah.
You've had it up to here, though. I mean, when you replied to me initially, and I was saying, "Oh, come on, give people a break. People just need to know the Earth is flat. Just answer their questions about night and day." And you were like, "I've been doing this 4 years. I'm sick of hearing about night and day."
You do though. When someone says to you, "Oh, how do you get night and day?" and it's like, "Well, okay." I said to you, didn't I? Like, the sun shines on me, it's daytime. When it goes, it's nighttime. I mean, does that prove the Earth is a? Why does that mean the Earth is a globe?
Well, back in the day, you were saying right at the beginning part of this feed that they were trying to figure out how day worked and wouldn't accept it on the globe model. Now we've got the complete opposite, where people just they've got it so ingrained that the day comes. I'm sure it was Jeranism saying that if you had a Terminator line, you'd go straight from like bright light, and the second it went over that tipping point, like what they show us with the Terminator line, it would go dark. You wouldn't get a dusk. We only get a dusk because it's light, because it's quite close. It's fading and fading as it disappears into the distance.
Yeah,
it's the only way to explain it.
Yeah,
but you say, "Oh, I see it come up over the horizon," and you go, "Well, that's just perspective."
That was one of the things before when we
like what they show us with the Terminator line. It would go dark. You wouldn't get a dusk. We only get a dusk because it's light, because it's quite close. It's fading and fading as it disappears into the distance.
Yeah,
it's the only way to explain it.
Yeah,
but you say, "Oh, I see it come up over the horizon," and you go, "Well, that's just perspective."
That was one of the things before when we were getting trolled. It was like, "Oh, how do you get sunrise and sunset?" And so that was one of the things. When I made a video about the Earth not spinning, another YouTuber made a video called Rory Cooper. Most people will know him now as My Perspective.
Right.
He put out a video about the Earth not spinning. I sent a message to him saying, "Hey, what do you think the moon is? Do you think the Earth is flat?" And then because he's the guy. If you've seen his videos, he does all the stuff with all the computer, 3D computer, really cool stuff about the perspective and stuff like that. Yeah, you seen his videos? Do you know who I'm talking about? My Perspective.
I certainly know the name.
Right. Anyway, so he started doing that then, and that's what got me thinking. Okay, so if the Earth is flat, how do you explain everything that we're told? That everything just kind of and you start to understand perspective. Like, we are just these tiny people, and we see all this stuff, and it might look like it's moving, like they say it's orbiting, but actually it's not. So when you learn about the horizon, you learn about the vanishing point, then you learn like things in the sky come down, yeah, like that, and the ground moves up like that, right? Then it starts to make sense. So then because this is the thing, you were trying to work for, okay, how do you explain sunrise and sunset? Well, you can explain it because as it comes over you, yeah, and it's closer as it's to you, it looks higher up, and then it moves away, and that's just down to perspective. Because if you imagine you're standing at the shoreline of the beach, right, and you've got the like a big boat, right, and it looks huge, yeah, and then as the boat disappears into the horizon, it gets a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the same thing as you've got things moving across the sky.
They block the sky around me. They chemtrail from about 3 a.m.
Yeah. They chemtrail the sunset and sunrise all the time.
Can't see a proper sunrise. You
can't. See it. Yeah, they always do that.
I mean, with the stars, when I look at them, it looks like you can pluck them out of the air. It's bizarre. It's hard to describe unless
if you've got a decent-ish camera, like a decent-ish camera, yeah.
No, I've got a telescope and a camera phone. That's about it.
But if you zoomed into light through your telescope, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
They're just there.
No. I mean, if you look at the naked eye,
I know.
Sorry, you go on. I was going to say, round by me, they turn all the street lights off. So from about midnight, it's just fantastic. At first, everyone kicked off and it was like dangerous this and dangerous that. But after about a month, I suddenly realised that you go outside and you've got the most phenomenal view of the sky. And the stars don't look, I mean, far from looking close, that's the wrong way. It literally looks like they're just there, you know, like you can pluck them out of the air. It's bizarre.
They're not trillions of light years away. Like
No.
where do they come up with these figures? Like, how do you even measure that?
Well, you saw the iPad advert when you've got all these different CGI images of all the planets, you know, in that advert for the iPad Plus or whatever they call it, the big thing that they've just released, the biggest iPad.
I haven't seen it.
They've got loads and loads of CGI images of every single planet, and they sort of slide around on this flat iPad. I can't remember which flat earther did a video and saying, you know, Apple knows, probably Jeranism, but saying, look, they're showing all these planets as flat discs on an iPad. You know, this is, you know, someone at the top is having a good old giggle at this CGI being presented to the public. Yeah, it's only pictures on an iPad, but subliminally, it all slinks in every single time you're presented with it.
But that, I mean, apart from the sun and the moon, I've never really seen another so-called planet in the sky. I'm just told that, you know, that's what it comes down to. We've just got this space agency that claims that they go to these things and they're solid objects, and really they're just lights in the sky. Or it's, just circles. Like, how is that? And that's another argument people will use to say that the Earth is a globe, right? Oh, well, everything else in the sky is a globe.
Yeah, I've had people ask me, well, are the planets flat then? And you think, well, according to what we get presented on, like those adverts for the iPad, yeah, they are. You know, so that's all we get. We get presented.
They're just lights in the sky, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the planets, they just look like stars. You know, I can't really comment on the color, but to me, they just look like stars. They don't look any different. Some of them are a bit bigger, some of them are a bit smaller, but the same can be said about stars themselves.
So you know, we are relying on this space agency to tell us about that they've created. This is why I said before that I'm not interested about the stuff up there. They've invented that or made out whatever that is up there, their story, right?
Mm-hmm. About
space. And so why do I need to try and justify or prove what that is to prove that where I stand is flat? That's them trying to do. That's them saying that they've discovered and know. We know they're fake when they haven't been to these places, right? So for me, one of the, you know, if you want to look into flat Earth and what's the strongest evidence, it is where we're standing. Yeah, they've had us looking out there. Oh, look up there all this time, trying to take us away from where we are.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think when I said before in that video, I'm not interested in people coming to me saying, well, how do you explain this? How do you explain that? How flat earthers can never... They invented all that stuff. They've decided that that's what all that stuff is, and we know there's no evidence. It's just CGI pictures, and they don't go to these places. So it doesn't mean anything. Proof is on them.
We know that. Yeah, I know there's lights up there. I can see them. Yeah, we can see lights up there. That doesn't mean anything. The flat Earth is where we stand.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've proven over and over. Just go to the beach. You can just look out, and you know,
flat horizon.
Well, not just the flat horizon, like you said earlier, with things like the boats. You know, if you're, I don't know where you are, but if you're up north, you can see the Isle of Man from Blackpool. You know, it's from Blackpool. It's probably about 80 miles out. It's unbelievable distance.
80, how long? 80 miles.
80.
80. Yeah. Well, there you go then.
I mean, that's from probably central Blackpool, like quite a high point up, but it's a big old distance.
And people don't understand this perspective. Things get smaller the further they, you know. It's just, and then you have
Father Ted sketch.
What's that?
It's that Father Ted sketch when he's got the cows.
Right.
These cows are far away. These cows are small. You know, he's got the little cow. You know,
no, I don't know what. Yeah, probably. But yeah, it is though, isn't it?
That's it. It's
people just they don't. I don't know. They don't understand it. They dismiss it. They just don't want to accept it. You have to accept when you look into perspective. Here's the thing, right? Where you're standing and where the horizon is. Do people think that where you're standing to the horizon is like rising, like in a slope? and then just disappears over this horizon line.
Yeah.
Because then, how small would this ball be?
Yeah, that's it. If the edge is the edge we see,
we cannot see past. There's no seeing past it. So it just makes me laugh when people say, "Well, what So I'm here in the UK. Why can't I see Australia?" Well, I can't see beyond. I can't. I've filmed. You can see in my videos. The video I put up today, I filmed the river. I can see. You can't see past the 3 miles away. Past the horizon. So why would I expect I can see Australia?
That's it.
There's all these crazy. This is the thing, right? This is another thing I wanted to touch on is when you present people with this evidence, I find it really annoying. Like, if I'm trying to have a discussion or an argument with somebody, it's like I'm not having an argument with somebody who's formulated their own opinions. They'll come out with a soundbite that has been repeated on TV a million times. It's like, yeah, and you just want to say to somebody, look, that's not your opinion.
It's just what you've been told.
It's been given to you. It's so frustrating. Like, and you give up trying to even have a conversation or an argument or discussion with someone because you're there like, okay, that's been said on the TV a million times. And so you're not giving me your formulated opinion about something. And so that's part of the thing with the flat earth is, it's just, I find a lot of people in the flat earth are creative people, thinking people, and yeah, just willing to expand their knowledge and just look at everything. Whereas in everyday life, you'll try and have a conversation with someone, and they will just repeat, word for word, and you're like, that's on TV. I'm not having a conversation with someone. Do you know what I mean?
The globe, they're getting it from every direction. It's not that people have just been through school and seen the globe in the classroom. It's exposed. When I was looking for flat earth music, I was trying to find stuff like in the Pink Floyd album covers and find flat earth clues, and I couldn't find any because all you find is globe reinforcement, and it's in songs. It doesn't matter what the song's about, you just get lots and lots of reinforcement of various.
But did you see the video I put today with the pub that I've been in years and years and years and years and years? The globe. I knew it was there a while ago. I just hadn't got around to filming it. But it's like
take it in. People will walk past that, and that's a subliminal message in itself. Now that if you're a flat earther, that just becomes what it is. It's just another subliminal message.
Yeah, but do people understand? Because it's oh, why haven't we fallen off the edge? Why haven't you get these just repetitive things that people. This is what I'm saying. You're not talking to people. You're talking to a robot that's just been programmed to say a certain thing when something comes up. Do you see what I mean?
Okay. Well, how's this then? If you're one of the people watching us right now and they've just heard something like "fall off the edge" and they're totally new to this, what would be your answer to someone like that if they said, well, "Okay, why don't we just fall off the edge?"
What if I say the Earth is flat and they say, why don't we fall off the edge?
What is your answer to that?
My answer to that is that there's a ice wall around and you cannot fall off.
That's what it's all about, though, isn't it? I mean, the Antarctic Treaty is really what NASA, the Antarctic Treaty.
This is what it comes down to. This is the big thing for the flat Earth. I want people in the flat Earth to concentrate on the main weapons for the flat Earth. Stop. I don't take this the wrong way, anybody, but I still see people. I like it. Some people concentrate on the moon. Some people concentrate on the sun. Some people are, all that stuff. But you've got to concentrate on the strongest things there are for the flat Earth. And there is no South Pole. They cannot show us the South Pole. Okay, this is the thing. This goes back to what Matt Boylan was talking about. Yeah, he said the Antarctica is the gateway to flat Earth. They have not crossed it. Okay, that's what it comes down to.
It's mad. Some of the, I mean, you'd think NASA going to the space have got all the clever tech, and then you see some of the photographs from Antarctica, and just the stuff they show us is just amazing. Yeah, God only knows what else they've got down there, but some of the equipment is just whoa.
What stuff's that?
Well, I have no idea. It's just photographs of stuff out on Antarctica, great big trains of equipment, that's on. On tracks, and
I've seen a video. I've seen
amazing. They've got these enormous auroras. I mean, why no one's looking hugely into the auroras? I said to my wife, I'd love to go. I want to see. If this dome, the auroras are the thing that's going to point. That to me, it's been spun as magnetic fields and all the rest of it, but that's got to have something to do with a dome, if there is one, as far as I'm concerned. Pure speculation, no idea, haven't got a clue, but that's just my guess in that arena.
Well, so the dome has been thrown into the mix, and I don't know either way. There is, I see some evidence for it. One thing before I even heard about the dome was when I was looking into satellites and communications. Was they were saying, "Oh yeah, we're bouncing all these radio waves off the ionosphere." Like the other, the upper atmosphere of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't make sense, because how would you be able to just like hit something and then concentrate it? Like, would it just not scatter and spread? And how would you be able to control how that worked? And then another thing is with satellites. Okay, this is a question asked before when we first looked into satellites. It's like, they were saying, oh yeah, you can bounce all these things off the ionosphere, but we're hitting satellites and the space station and the moon and Mars. And so it's like, well, so you're bouncing stuff off the ionosphere, but you can shoot stuff through it. And it's like, so you're hitting a satellite, so why would that not come back, bounce off the ionosphere, back out into space?
Yeah, it's the wicked lies again.
So I don't really, what's that?
Well, I'm saying it's wicked lies, so you don't know what's truthful and what's lie. They will mix in as much truth as lie, so that they can at some stage prove it. It's the same with the shills. The shills will constantly comment, and 50% of what they say is actually based in truth, and 50% of what they say is total garbage. But they will mix it up together to throw people off track. It's just a matter of evaluating what they say, and it's the same with most facts that come out of NASA. If you trust MIT, there's a glass ceiling. It's a hard and fast layer. If that's MIT's take on it. If you trust NASA, we're going to the moon. There's no problem. We can go through the plasma fields, plasma belts. No problem.
The radiation belts.
Yeah, Van Allen belts.
Van Allen. So you don't know if that's. I don't even know if that's true.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's back to the wicked lies. You don't know which bits are true, which aren't.
I personally don't think we can go that high. So that's just my personal view.
Crow 777 saying the same sort of thing, but Crow is a proponent of simulation theory. Within.
No, I don't buy the moon. I don't buy that moon thing. The moon wave, lunar wave. The lunar wave. Yeah, I don't.
It's a very strange one, the lunar wave, because
I don't buy it.
Convenient. The proof that it was genuine was on the first capture.
The only proof of that is from that channel.
Yeah, it all seems to come from don't get me wrong. There's several people that are giving him stuff, and he's got another bit of a red.
I've never seen it.
I haven't.
As far as I'm concerned, if I don't see it, then it's not. It doesn't mean anything. And it's only come from that channel, and I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a subscriber to that channel. Put it that way.
And he's got this like, I don't know. I haven't looked enough into the backstory, but he's got this like document apparently that he was sent from some Russian guy that recently died. And you think this is all a little bit Hollywood.
No.
You know what I mean? The backstory.
I would stick away. I'd stay clear of that channel. That's just my personal take.
I don't steer clear of anything because of the good thing about these liars is they will give you some bits of truth. You've just got to be able to sort of dissect out what's lies and what isn't, and that's really difficult. but given enough time, it's like the NASA footage.
Why is nobody else? Why is nobody else? Well, let me ask you this then: why has nobody else filmed this lunar wave? Why is it only him? And I've seen his videos where he claims there's these like little spacecrafts flying around the front of the moon with little, jets and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then somebody puts out a video saying, "Yeah, that you can do that on After Effects."
Yeah, it's a bit too slick, a bit too. Yeah, there's something not quite right.
No, that lunar wave is no.
But his chemtrail work is definitely genuine. This might be just that is the only truth in it. Who knows? I mean, I can't comment either way because I don't know. But the chemtrail footage he sees, if I had my camera in my hand.
Yeah, okay. Let me say this then, right? When people start doing that chemtrail footage, but then they'll try and throw in, there's a little orb flying around.
Yeah.
There you go then. There you go then. Well, there you go then. No, just stick to chem. If it's a chemtrail, it's chemtrail. You don't need to start when people start throwing. That's what starts the red alert button for me. I'm afraid.
Yeah. I mean, I'll still watch all this stuff.
How do you think? Answer me this question, right? I want someone to answer me this question. How do astronauts tweet from the ISS?
They got really good.
Please, somebody, because I have busted the ISS just with this question.
No problem, because they can broadcast from a rover to an orbiter and then through the plasma and to Earth, and they can even control it going the other direction, mate. They've got it covered.
Okay, so I could send you a tweet now, Nathan. Yeah, and so I would do it here on the computer, the internet. Right. Okay, so the ISS has not got a cable, an umbilical cord connected from it to the Earth, right?
No.
Are we certain of that?
Pretty sure.
Because that's the only way internet works. The only other alternative I have, well, actually I don't know because my phone's dead, but I need a new phone. It's completely gone. But I would do it off my phone. Now we know what phones are. Phones are ground-based towers.
Yeah.
They do not go above, I would say probably, well, they say switch them off on aeroplanes, but I don't know if they actually work above that height.
The GPS don't work on a plane.
Right, okay. So my question is, how are the astronauts tweeting from the ISS 250 miles up down to Earth?
Madness. I took a GPS, like a car sat nav on a plane once and turned it on. And it didn't work.
It didn't work?
It didn't work.
Oh, no. Do you know, really?
No, it didn't work.
Oh, that's a really brilliant piece of information.
It worked during in fact, I remember it now. It worked because I got the speed. It worked on the ground, so I actually had it turned on when they tell you don't have stuff turned on, right?
Yeah, but why do they say that, though?
I don't know. But it worked until a certain point, and then it just stopped working.
So you on a proper, like, what, 35,000 feet, yeah?
Yeah, just I don't know what it was, probably an international flight, but I had it running. I got the speed of the plane, and then we got up, and then it just stopped. It just stopped working.
Yeah, people have said when they've done these high altitude balloon things that they lose GPS about that height.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I did. I was really.
Well, you did. Well, no, you said well.
It's compared the maps. I mean, I had nothing. This has nothing to do with flat Earth. This was just when I was a rep, so I had no idea.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. You said that though. But the astronauts, right? They tweet constantly, like it seems like every 10 minutes, right? And they take pictures. Like that Chris Hadfield, he took like 45,000 pictures.
Whoa.
And it's like, how have they got time to do anything else?
And why aren't they terrified of death? Micrometeorites.
It's a space station. He made a music video up there. Did you see the music video he made?
Oh, don't get me started on them doing the things that are entertainment based. These are supposed to be scientists. Why are they playing guitars and singing?
No, but like you say, they're flying around the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour, 16 times. It makes me laugh when they talk about having weekend off, and like how do you account for time when you're flying around the Earth 16 times every day? There have been.
If that's something that's going to mess up your body clock, that's going to be it.
Yeah. Why are they not worried? Why are they just flying around in shorts and t-shirt?
I would be terrified. If I'd have managed to go on the Lynx Apollo mission, really, I'd probably been, you know, I won't use foul language. I'd be very scared because you might die. You know, if we are to be, but you know, if we ignore the fact that they've all got professor jobs now, and you know, none of them seem to be dead. If we just ignore that for a minute, it should be really, really, really dangerous.
I saw an interview with that Chris Hadfield, and he basically said that, oh, I don't care about the space mission. It's all this stuff afterwards. So, like, you know, the gains they get for faking all that afterwards is what, you know, so they get to go on TV and they get the shows and they, so why would they care? Then they don't want to talk about it. They never really talk about it afterwards.
Of course,
yeah.
Don't want to get
so
out.
They're just faking it, and then, yeah, but the whole NASA mission with the space station is to disguise the flat Earth. It has to be.
Oh yeah, that's its only purpose. You know, I keep referring to Jeranism. I don't know why, but you keep saying, you know, people will just hear flat Earth and then go and look for a reinforcement, and then they see the ISS with a feed that's got a curve, and they're happy with that. You know, as long as they can see. I mean, people's cognitive dissonance goes much further. I mean, the first time I mentioned it on Facebook, someone sent me a picture of the Red Bull jump, but just with the fisheye lens, you know, with it looking like a bouncy ball, if you like, just so farcical. But to them, that was our planet. It's a bit like you saying about people thinking of Google Earth when it's like the CGI bit is actually our planet. It's like, how can you possibly believe that?
Well, because that's enough for people. So, like the ISS, if you scrutinise the ISS live feed, you know it's completely bogus. But it's enough for them that they know most people will just go, oh, the ISS is real. They'll go, ISS, oh, see, it's real, and that's it, and then click off. They don't need to, they'd see it, and they don't need to, they know it, that it's for them, it confirms that it must be real. So do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
this is what is interesting when you realise that they really don't have to show you much evidence or anything, and you think, how did I believe that for all this time?
But they're showing it you all the time. There's constant reinforcement in every media that you look at. It doesn't matter if it's, I mean, my uncle who's a Christian sent me some, I can't remember what the document was, but he put something together in just a bog standard piece of Microsoft software, like a PowerPoint. And it was all planets and globes linking the PowerPoint together. And I had to sort of joke with him and say, oh, you know, what's with all these graven images on this, you know, that you've sent me? And he was like, oh, it's just what Microsoft put in there automatically. And you think, yeah, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's all subliminal. You don't think about it.
Well, you think about the globe is there from when we're born, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, and constantly reinforced. So like you say, if someone's actually looking to have it reinforced, either going to the ISS feed, they're not doing what Jeranism does and sitting there for hours scrutinising it and saying, God, this looks terrible. Why is this?
You don't even have to scrutinise it for that.
That's it. 30 seconds probably.
No, you look at it and see that it's always down. So it's
there's 100 videos to click on that are like YouTube videos on the site, so you can just go again, if you're not really thinking about it, you probably go on the site and click on one of the videos that are actually pre-recorded videos that are just there, and you'd watch one of them and assume it was live. Like you said earlier, it might have live written on it, even though it isn't live. It might just be constant, you know, like a little Ashton.
Like the 9/11. Like 9/11, that was all must have been pre-recorded. They just have live in the middle and
exactly.
in the bottom of the screen. I mean,
that's it. So even if someone's watching a pre-record of the ISS feed, they might not even realise that it's just a. Nothing from the ISS is live. None of that. That's all pre-recorded, pre-scripted. They have the same questions, the same just boring answers. And it's not live. None of it's live. No, the ISS is a complete farce. But that's probably a really tricky one to get through to people. That's like once you've been into flat Earth for a reasonable amount of time and been looking at it all, then you get to the ISS.
Yeah.
Up until that point, if you start looking at it early enough, it might actually convince you that you're back on a globe, because it's not that terrible as much as people give it loads of stick. You know, to the untrained eye, you just go have a look and go, yeah, we're on a globe. And off you go and look at what else you're looking at online, and then
what do you think about? What would you think about trying to get the flat Earth like out to everybody? Like, do you think it would matter? Would it? Because I've seen that guy going around just talking to people around London. I think he's got a channel called Keeping It Flat.
Right. Okay. I'll write that down.
I think he's got a channel called Keeping It Flat, and he's only just started. He's just going around just talking to people. Like, he's not saying, "Oh, the Earth is flat." It's just like, "Hey, what do you think about? Can we just chat? What do you think about the solar system? Have you heard anything about the Earth?"
Though it's a really dangerous one. I mean,
no, I've seen.
I talk about it at all. I would say talk about it, but you've got to sort of test the water. You can't just. I don't think that's.
I saw one of his videos, and then he started saying, "Yeah, there's this guy on the internet saying the moon's not even real," and then these people obviously freaked out and they did a runner.
That's it.
So it is quite a dangerous thing, really, to think about trying to upset people's reality, what they've been given. Yeah, but I don't know. When I look at it from my point of view, it's like it just didn't bother me. Like people like you, obviously, it didn't like make you go, "Oh my god." And
I was a bit depressed for a little bit. I'll be honest.
Yeah. You go through there. You do go through the different. Yeah, but you took on board still. You didn't.
I mean, I didn't have a meltdown. I didn't run away.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Do you think that would happen, like on maths? Like, because when they're arguing, do you think? No, I think so.
People wouldn't blow their minds. Absolutely. Yeah. People get so. You've seen them. You know this. You've seen people's reactions.
Yeah, I said it's like.
People fight like crazy.
It's like a sort of. I don't know. I don't want to say like religion, but like, well, it is sort of like a cultish. Like you try and upset what is perceived as normal.
Yeah, that's the bit. That's
and then people attack you for disrupting that, and you think, and so it's like, so you've got religions. Yeah? Everyone has, and it's kind of accepted that everyone has their own sort of beliefs, and they're a bit cookie, they're a bit, whatever the church, whatever it is, that's kind of accepted. But if you actually try and penetrate like what is considered normal, the majority, there is a serious backlash.
Oh yeah.
And so that to me is like
that change. Definitely not.
No.
And flat Earth's about as big a change as you could slap on somebody.
Yeah.
It's like a big fat slap in the face.
And again, it's always, that's what people used to believe. It's always, that's what people used to believe.
And then you've got
what do you think? Yeah,
you can fall off the edge.
Yeah. So what do you think about people? I've forgotten my train of thought now.
Well, you were saying, what about the masses waking up? I mean, I think that's going to happen anyway. I mean, I think this has become a bit of a runaway train. The reason I think this is because of what you've said tonight, i.e., you sort of pushed and the snowball got going, and then they managed to squash it out, which sounds very psychopathic. It's like playing with a mouse by the tail.
That's what I was going to ask you. People have said that they've kind of deliberately put it out there, but why has there been this fight to ridicule it and dismiss it for so long, even up to recently? Like I said, when I first came onto YouTube, there were only a few people talking about it, including Matt Powerland.
Yeah.
And he was literally on his own before that. And so why is it suddenly taken effect recently now?
I think it's
even back then, I remember my subscribers to me, not ones who've subbed back to me, but others were like, "Oh, why are you talking about flat Earth? It's just crazy."
I think they want to time with people. I mean, it's very psychopathic, the idea of releasing the information out and then squashing it back down again. I mean, at the moment, with all the new theories that they're putting out that probably aren't even that new, they're in their element. They're having the time of their lives. This is brilliant. They love all this, and they're in their minds they're all powerful and can just squash it back down again anytime they like. The problem, I think, is that it's a bit of the snowball has gained enough momentum to now, you ever made a snowman? You start rolling this bit of snow and you can never get the damn thing to stick together. then eventually you get enough
without
snow.
the right snow, yeah. Without the right snow at the right time, yeah.
You get a big ball. Well, we're at that point where it's sort of the tinder has caught. You know, the spark has been.
Yeah, but I like. Right.
Now it's actually caught fire, and you know it's getting more and more prevalent by the day. So I think it's, you know, again, it's down to people like Jeronism. If I wouldn't be here if I wasn't in a live feed going, yeah, I made a video a while back about the shuttle not looking the right size, and then they all went, make a video, and then Jeronism said on the show, anybody who's just come into the flat Earth, make a video. And I was like,
make a video.
Okay. And I did. And then you look today at how many people have made a new video, and there's dozens and dozens and dozens of them. It's amazing. You know, it's slightly out of control, if from their perspective, I think. You know, so they've got a Russian simulation theory. You know, they've got to get something to patch it up if it does all fall. I said this on one of my video logs. There's people out there that are claiming that NASA's a fall guy. You know,
oh yeah, you can already see that they're trying to move that to, again, I've talked about this in a video on my channel. They're trying to move it into privatization, which is completely bogus, because all the money comes from NASA still. There's no such thing as, you know, here's another thing. Why do we not have space tourism? Why have we not got space tourism yet? I mean, it doesn't. Did people not think that doesn't make any sense? Like, all this time, like,
do you know what NASA's answer was to that? We never promised it. And I thought, yeah, but in all the propaganda, in every movie, and you know, it was all about eventually there'll be trips to the moon, and you can find loads of references, but it's all in the, you know, the cartoon media. It's not official NASA saying we're going to have day trips to the moon. They've never said it, and that's their first go-to if you ask them. We never said
there was not NASA from. I had a video about that on my old channel from who was it? One of the airline companies. They were selling tickets to trips to the moon, saying, yeah, we'll be going to the moon, and you can buy sort of advanced ticket, not buy them, but put your name down.
Yeah, like order advanced tickets.
It's like a gimmick thing, which is that I don't know what to think about Richard, you know, failed balloonist Branson.
I think he's figured it out. He's gone, they will pump so much money if I can get on their side. He's gone, right, if I can develop it to the point where I can show them I might be able to expose them, they'll take me under their wing, and I'll have a nice little tap into huge amounts of money. Well,
that's been 10 years, but yeah, but I'm wondering how much he's on the scam, because he kind of comes across as that sort of right from the beginning, didn't he? He was like against anti-establishment and tax, and he's got his tax haven island, and it was always, you know, sort of two fingers up to. So how much he's involved and not, I don't know. Whether he really is like this sort of dreamist, like, yeah, I'm going to do this, thinking he can do it, and then they just push the thumb down. No, you're not. It ain't going to happen. Do you see what I mean?
He'll just get absorbed. He'll be.
Oh no, it's not going to. Well, his rocket blew up anyway. Nothing's going to happen from that now. That's been 10 years now. He sold tickets. They were like 200. I mean, I don't care. They were to rich celebrities. They were like 250,000 or something for a spot on that ship to, you know, go into orbit for like 5 minutes. I mean, he made a substantial amount of money, plus all the investments. I think it was like 1 billion. So, and he never got a balloon around the world. I mean, someone who hasn't got a balloon in 6 attempts, why would you back him to put a rocket? And here's another thing that people don't understand, right? What he was doing, yeah, that dropping a rocket ship from plane, that's called a zoom climb. The American Air Force was doing that in the 1940s. I mean, if they were doing that in the 1940s, why is it? And they've had this success. Yeah, so Richard Branson's like, yeah, I'm going to do space tourism. Yeah, nothing's happened. It's all blown up, and yet there we are, NASA, every other week sending rockets up 250 miles to this space station. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No. I mean, how do you want to leave this? Because we haven't. I don't think we've done enough of the old red pill, letting people know what this is all about. Concentrating on flat Earth and saying, you know, down the barrel of the camera. It's flat. You know, what's the message?
Oh, you want to
leave
talk about more about flat Earth?
Well, I think so. I mean, you know, I think we'll wrap it up in a reasonable amount of time, you know, because we've been on for a good hour and 40 or so, maybe even longer. I don't know what time it is. But yeah, I always want to get the flat Earth message out there, and you know, that's why I kind of said, well, what would you answer when someone says about falling off the edge? Because it's these common questions that
the research looking into it, and I would stick with what Matt Powerland said from the start, and I saw him from the beginning. There's more land, and the whole Antarctic Treaty is to stop people discovering that. And if you look at the Admiral Byrd and look at what evidence there is, it looks like, I mean, he had a whole army to try and penetrate Antarctica, and this is just what I think, that they scouted, because he had planes and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they scouted and was like, okay, how big is this place? And I think they must have got to a point where it's like, okay, this is not ending. It doesn't end. That's what I think. I mean, and so they said, right, we'll just shut it up and that's it.
They could just turn around and say, well, actually, they just reached the dome. I mean,
or the dome. I'm just gonna say I don't buy the dome. I don't buy the dome thing, and I'll give you the reason why. Oh, again, I'll just stick with there's more land to be discovered, and they've got us flying around in circles. Okay, so if you bring this dome thing in, it's like, okay, we've got this dome, and then, okay, what? So we can't go any further? No. Well, so how do we prove the Earth is flat? Oh, well, we can just go around and say, yeah, the Earth is, you know, bigger than it should be, and it's still stopping you, which is the whole point of the Antarctic Treaty, you know, was to stop more exploration. So I go with that.
Yeah, I mean, they're gatekeepers. They're going to stop anyone from going further. I mean, I'm not going to say it's at gunpoint. You know, there's no going beyond a certain point, even getting to Antarctica unless you.
No, there was the sailor. What's his name? Jarl Anderhoy, who tried to do that, and he got arrested and fined quite heavily just for going there without permission. So you're not going there. Also, people you can find on the internet, there's several stories of like fishing vessels and stuff like that being stopped by Navy ships anywhere in that area. So they're not letting you go down there without permission. Now, nobody in the flat Earth community is saying, oh, you can't go to Antarctica. Yeah, you can go to Antarctica.
Yeah, it's just
they'll let you go there to the little leg. And have, it's like the trips where they claim that they cross Antarctica. If you look at them, if you imagine you've got like the edge, they'll have, this is the South Pole, what they say is South Pole, they'll come in like this, there, and then they'll come out like that on the edge, right? On the coastline. They're not actually crossing it. And so as far as I'm concerned, for flat Earth, it's crossing Antarctica to prove if the Earth is flat or round. If you want to say there's a dome,
absolutely, and that's what it's all about.
If you want to say there's a dome and we're all enclosed in it, then what are you saying? Are you saying, well, there's not really much point trying to?
Well, I think that's part of what they want us to believe. They want us to think that there's no point and that we're all, it's just another form of control. The dome at the moment, the way it's spun out, it sounds like just another, you could say concave, you could say dome.
No, concave is total misinformation. Because they need
version of the globe. It's just
and they need it to be a globe. And concave, this is what I try and tell people, the concave, they don't want it to be that you have to cross Antarctica. They want it to be in Antarctica, but yeah, like you say, it's the other way around.
How does that work? I mean, I don't want to go too much into concave theory, but because I haven't looked at it, because it just seems so farcical.
They basically reinforce the globe, but like you say, but we're on the inside of it.
Yeah, that's the way.
So as far as I'm
what's to do with Antarctica though? I mean, maybe you don't know. I don't, because I haven't looked at it enough. But have they got an explanation for Antarctica?
Yeah, they say Antarctica's as they say on the globe, but just inside. The whole point of this, the whole point of the flat Earth is crossing Antarctica, and we haven't done it. And you have to go in a straight line and cross Antarctica. But as soon as you start putting up these walls and saying, well, it's a dome, so, you know, how is that any different to what we have now? Them telling us it's a globe and then having us just fly around in planes in circles.
Well, no different. We're just trapped mice again. I mean, I think, you know, Mark Sargent in one of his flat Earth clues, he's saying that once people figure out that there's a dome, we'll try and, you know, escape from it. You know, but that's if there is one at all. The only problem I've got with the more land theory is that with more land theory, you're back into the potential for aliens. Do you know what I mean?
Not necessarily, no.
Well, if you've got an infinite plane, you've got a potential that there's another sun. You know, if you go far enough, don't get me wrong, it might be such a massive distance in the same way the stars are potentially a massive distance away from us. But if you've got an infinite plane, you could eventually come across another sun-moon system. You know, I mean, I'm probably talking more puddle theory than, you know, infinite plane theory here. But it does. You know, the two kind of go hand in hand. If you've got an infinite plane, there's nothing to stop that model having other puddles with other people or aliens or whatever you want to describe them as. And that's the bit that kind of, I think, I don't know, I don't like the alien thing. But
I don't think anyone's talked about the alien thing with the infinite plane. The only thing I know about the alien thing is what we're told by NASA with space and stuff.
I mean, I agree. I'm throwing it into the mix just from my own speculation.
No, okay. So there was a story with where they had the was it Admiral Byrd, and they went down to fight the Nazis, and then there was all these UFO spaceships flying out of the Antarctica in the ocean, and they had this big battle. Yeah, that's just all distraction.
Yeah, it's just propaganda.
Yeah. I would go with more. I'd go with more land only because of the stuff there it was with what's his name, Admiral Byrd.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, how much of that you can take literally, and how much of that was what they wanted to know? You don't know, do you? We just don't know. We don't know unless we go down there.
You can't necessarily take anything they say seriously.
What we do know is there's an Antarctic Treaty.
Yes.
And you're not going down there without permission and strict guidelines. So why? Yeah.
You've got to hope that Matt's the one that does this. You know, he's the one putting the pressure on. Hopefully, he'll be the next Birds, and he'll be down.
I don't know what he's doing. He hasn't made any videos for a while. I'm not. I think one of the last videos he said he wanted to take it to having people make bets on it and stuff like that, and I don't know.
Oh, right.
Yeah, why not? Why not? What needs to happen, okay? What needs to happen is an independent crossing of Antarctica, yeah? Independent of the UN, the military, the governments, yeah? All of these people. There has to be an independent. And the reason is you cross, and if you get to the other side, yeah, it's a globe. If you don't, then it's whatever it is, and it's flat.
In other words, we don't need to mess around with space at all. We just focus on Antarctica.
No, why have they been making us concentrate on space and all this stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the two came hand in hand. They both came at exactly the same time. You know, the Antarctic Treaty and NASA. You know, the two are
the space program. Space program, people believe me, is cartoon, Hollywood, Walt Disney fantasy. That's all it is. Like, why would you even bother sending stuff out there when you can just show these like cartoon pictures of stuff?
Yeah.
And charge billions for it, but you shut down Antarctica. Don't
get distracted. I'm going to share a screenshot. So keep chatting, but it'll just play out.
Yeah, okay. So my message would be in Flat Earth is to stick with what's that?
The moon landing footage.
The lunar rover.
Well, it's just some absolutely terrible footage that I used in a video log. and it's got the most cheesy part of the moon landing footage of all of them, which is where they call it the LM and the LEM, right?
Yeah.
Well, when you've got the lunar lander coming up to the orbiter, it's just so blatantly a model. It's absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, so how did that thing fit in that?
Well, you've got Bart Sobral talking about things like the air conditioning as well, saying that the amount of power, this is the bit, I can't help giggle when it happens. This is just so dire. This bit here, have you seen this?
Yeah, I've seen all the videos with the simulators, how they do all that. Like they just have these simulations where they well, you must have seen it all. That's all it is. They did not stand on the moon.
Well, yeah, shreds, haven't they? But they just patch up the lies, don't they? So was it? I'm sure it wasn't. Maybe it was Rob. Is it Rob or Bob Skiba, the Christian guy?
Skiba.
I'm sure he did a bit where he took some of the. I think it was might have even been Apollo 11, the first picture, and just put it through Photoshop. But then they just patched up the lie. You know, they just made a new, better image that didn't show any of the flaws. So anybody returning after his video to look and do the same thing, you know, they just patch up all the lies and fix it after it's been highlighted. I
did that before on my old channel. There was a really good program, and I was putting through NASA stuff, and it would come up and say, "This has been clone stamped." Not long after that site just got shut down. It just disappeared.
What was the site?
I can't remember now. Like that a bit like that photo forensic site thing, yeah, where you can put photos in and it'll tell you if it's been manipulated.
Like the one Insanity recently did a video about. He had like a piece of software and he just dumped in something from NASA. I think it was like a Halloween shot of a skull, and it showed all of the programming code.
Similar sort of thing. Yeah, and it just disappeared. It got shut down.
I mean, back to flat Earth and the snowball of flat Earth at the moment. I don't think there's too possibility of shutting everybody down, unless you disagree.
How do you mean?
Well, in the same way as, you know, you kind of got, I don't want to say you got sick of it last time, but you had a break and, you know, shut your channel down. You know, because of all the aggravation and constant, you know, questions from people and the ridicule, you know, eventually that's basically work.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm not going to make many videos after this. And because I think I've pretty much covered everything. Like I say, I've been there before. Yeah, like where was, I'm asking the question, where is flat Earth going now? Like, it's all right talking about it, and you can work out everything there, and you can work out all the lies and work out how everything works, but where does it go from here? Like I mentioned to you, didn't I, before about trying to, you know, get it mainstream.
Well, I think getting it mainstream is kind of a different take on what you were saying, get it out in the mainstream media. And to a certain extent, you're definitely right. And for some people, until they see it on the BBC News or on CNN or whatever, you know, until a newscaster sits and says, today's news, the world is flat, some people just will not believe it. It won't matter how much proof you present them with. So my way of sort of getting it out there is to illustrate to people that you can prove flat Earth to yourself. You don't need, you sum this up. This is me stealing your ideas, because you said, we don't need
so I have to start charging you.
Yeah, I keep nicking all your ideas. That's all I do, regurgitate other people's ideas, check them out, verify them, and then repeat them. But then again, that's life, you know, history repeats itself all the time. But you were right, you know, ultimately, you've got the ability with what's in your head, and, you know, just by, we said go earlier, keep to the same topic, but go down to the beach, just look at, you know, figure out how far away something is on a normal map and just go and see if you can see it. It's really easy. You don't need any sort of degrees, and you don't need anybody else to show it you. You know, we can all do it for ourselves. And I think that for me is the way to get it mainstream. If enough people pick up on it and decide that they are going to actually go and use their own damn eyes, which most people just refuse to. They want to see it on TV. They want it presented to them on the gobble box. And if it isn't presented to them in that way, they won't believe it.
No, but I spoke to you before off air about an idea. I mean, I still think that was an idea to do. But flat Earth is one message I want to give to people is flat Earth is not just about the Earth being flat. It's about people just being released from it's a religion. It's this thing you've never seen, and you've stood on it your whole life, and you've just been told to believe it, and it's just freeing your mind. There's so many creative people out there in the flat Earth movement, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just being creative, freeing your mind, freeing your thought, and just being able to explore everything and not have to be constrained to what we've been told to believe it is, because there is zero evidence to back up what they say. Zero evidence. In fact, they even tell us. They're telling us, oh yeah, the poles are flattened. Oh yeah, actually it's a pear shaped. Oh, it's oblate. Oh, they won't tell you it's flat, but they know it's flat. They know it's flat. Yeah, so it's not just about that. It's about, like you say, knowing in yourself that it's flat. As soon as I saw a video saying you've never seen this and it's flat, I was like, yeah. A lot of people have said that. Something just clicked. It's
So
like,
that was
wow,
yeah. Was that when
life makes sense. What?
Was it the perception test that made the penny drop for you then? When Matt Boylan said, "This you've never seen this picture of the world as you know it. You've never been far enough to see this." That was when the penny dropped.
That got you just thinking, your curiosity. Yeah, just thinking, my God, I have never seen that. I mean, for anybody, I challenge anybody, and I say this to people all the time, how do you know you have never seen it? How can you accept that when you've never seen it? And it's been given to you, let's say there's 7 billion people on the planet, they say. So 6.99999999999 billion people have been told the Earth is this by this tiny little group of people who we know all Freemasons with their secret handshakes and their little
all white men,
and their...
no women, no other races, no other, just white men, Freemasons. That's
that
it.
alone. Let's just say, even if the Earth was not flat, that alone should be enough for you to just question everything.
I agree.
So for me, it just clicked. It was just like, wow, everything makes sense now. Yeah, the Earth is flat. That's it. It should just free people's minds, which it has. You can see people making videos and expressing them. Pardon?
I'm happier on the flat Earth. I wonder if you're happier knowing it's flat and seeing the lies and understanding it. Does that make you happier, or does that make you bit more discontented with all the lies and depressed about how everybody's still fooled by it?
It's a mixer, isn't it? It's difficult. I think you have to take the positives. There's always negatives to it, but you have to take the positives, surely.
I like the negatives too. I mean, I keep saying this, the shill bit, you say, you're wasting your time. And I'm like,
are you not glad you knew this and now you're just at least questioning everything? Just question everything. Like, I don't want to. I would hate to go through life think I just never questioned anything. Like, how bad would that be?
People just want to be told. People like being told.
Yeah, they love. Yeah, they do. They're content. So somebody said that, didn't they? Well, this is all propaganda. And somebody said, I like their propaganda. So
that's it. People lap it up. Spoon feed me, man.
If somebody's happy to sit in front of the TV and like their propaganda, why should we spoil that? So I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Why should we? It's a bit unfair. Like your guy on the street in London, just going up to people and telling them. I mean, he's completely destroying them in some places. I feel really guilty.
That's why. I think would the flat Earth ever get out like mainstream? I mean, to me, the way I feel is I'd be like, yeah, this is awesome. And like, yeah, but would it be? It probably would cause mass panic. I don't know.
the psychopaths will just want a new lie. You know, they'll have us convincing nothing's real. They'll have us convincing we all live in a computer or something before, you know, it goes to being flat, because it's too much fun for the psychopaths to lie about it, even though it's not necessary. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason to lie about being on a flat plane. There's no reason to tie it up in knots. Some people would say it's because they want to worship the sun. Well, maybe.
I don't know if they. I mean, did they do it on purpose? I don't even know if they did it on purpose. Did they just have this idea that? Did they just have this? No, did they have this idea that it was a sphere, without even being able? That was one of Matt's premises, wasn't it? That you could never measure it, but it was that. But then, how could you ever know unless you went up and looked back? And then did they? We know they didn't get that high, but did they get high enough to go? Oh my God, we got this totally wrong. Are they going to say? Like he says in that, he said in one of those videos, he's like, are they going to say? Look what's at stake.
That's it.
Yeah, look what's at stake. The whole education system, everything, physicists, scientists. That program I watched the other day is really funny, right? Because they always say it. They always they do these maps, and they say they always have problems trying to put the map on a sphere. And I'm like, but it is a sphere. If it's a sphere, how is it so difficult to map what it is?
Did you ever see the Morgile? He did a little piece in one of his videos, and he was explaining what would happen to the NASA employee who's working in rendering, and he's explaining that he can't make the photos that he's got from the satellite guys wrap around a sphere. And the guy says, look, you're paid to do rendering. Worry about rendering. You know, this all boils down to it being compartmentalized. And don't ask any questions. That's an issue for the satellite guys, you know, and if he keeps asking, eventually it gets to the point where they just sack him. You know, you're too much of a troublemaker, we'll get someone else to render it. And the end result of that is, you know, that squash donut globe thing that they give us, you know, where it's been taken from so-called satellite imagery, and it just looks like a complete mess. It doesn't look anything like a globe. It doesn't look like an oblate spheroid. It doesn't look like a pear. It's just like a half-eaten donut.
I went and searched. If you go and search geostationary satellite pictures, right? Images.
Yeah.
You think we've had them up there for how many years? There's like two on YouTube. There's like two. And one's an oblate spheroid, and the other one's like a prolate spheroid, and then one's like a circle. And it's like, how can they all be different?
I mean, you did have people take. I'm not being a globe head here, but I've got to defend Mr. deGrasse Tyson when it comes to him saying it was an oblate spheroid and pear-shaped, because at the end of that little interview, he does sort of quantify it and say, look, if it was in front of us right now and you ran your hand over it, it would be so perfectly smooth, even with all the mountains. So the fact that it's so minuscule difference in this oblate spheroid or pear-shaped.
He gave the game away, though, when he said, well, it's all about the southern hemisphere. Yeah, he's saying pear-shaped, he's saying below the equator, it's fatter, like bigger.
Yeah.
All the information that we have from when was it Cook, when they went round with the boats and that, and all the sailors will say that it always took longer to sail around the southern hemisphere than northern.
Was it the
going back to what I said to you earlier about
crazy distance?
Yeah, going back to what I said to you, somebody, if you map, anyone can do it. You can map out the southern hemisphere with northern hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere will always be 3 times bigger. That
was the only good thing of the flat Earth baby, was that it really highlighted that, you know, you've got different projections for different circumstances, but the AE map always seems to be the best projection, and just probably because it's actually what we have. You know, it's the only one that depicts an ice wall
with all the flights.
Yeah, they all seem to match on the AE map.
But when you have it on the AE map, it's literally a straight line, which isn't that what planes pretty much do?
Exactly. I mean, the way they've got out of it is with the Google Earth thing, though, because they've got Google Earth showing, you know, the perfect answer to any of these problems, and we don't know if they've rendered that solution the day before or the day that plane had that journey. And you know, all they've got to do is skew the bend that they show on the journeys that the plane's taking. If it skews that way on the sphere, it's going to be taking a massive detour. Well, let's just skew it that way.
they use that as an excuse. They go in curves. They do it with ships as well. I've seen it on these map programs. They're like, oh yeah, they go in a curve, and they're like, oh yeah, that's because of the curvature of the Earth. But no, it's really to make you think you're on a curve, on a ball. So they make people take these.
Sergeant's guy, that missile guy, saying about literally arriving in harbour like a day and a half or more early.
Yeah.
You think, well, if you're travelling in the northern hemisphere, the distances probably are much shorter. And back to people diverting up to the Panama Canal, you think, well, why wouldn't you just go around that little lip? Well, if it's like the AE map, it's because that's a vast distance. It probably, it is, because they wouldn't do it otherwise. It's going to be shorter to go up to the Panama Canal. And you think, well, that's nobody's giving this a second thought.
That's why I made that video about, because everyone did about the Southern Hemisphere flights. But nobody really wanted to touch the Northern Hemisphere because the distances are so small that. But I was like, I knew about those articles years ago, and if you can do shortcut, you can't do shortcut on the ball when you map it out.
No.
So if you can do shortcuts and knock 6 hours off, it's
crazy.
flat. So,
right.
And
I reckon we've done our 2 hour stint. I think I
cool.
as an hour.
Yeah, can I just say that I'm probably not going to make many more videos.
Well, don't tie yourself down. If you say nothing, you still got the possibility.
No. I was going to do some more. I know some people might want to do Hangout. Maybe they might not want to. I don't know after seeing this, but I'll probably do Hangouts. But I'm not going to make any more videos.
Oh, fair enough. I'm sure we'll see you on more Google Hangouts, won't you?
Yeah, if anyone wants to. They might see this and go, I don't want to talk to him.
Right, well, I'm going to sign off then. You've been Spaceman in Space, Jamie. I've been Nathan Oakley. This has been
I hope you get some more guests on.
Hopefully so. I mean, I
don't know what you want to do, if you want to do a show or whatever, but...
Yeah, I'll put the feelers out. I've asked a couple of people. At the moment, it's literally just, I've got 2 people that I'm asking. I don't want to ask a whole string because I don't want to end up like Patricia Steer getting bombarded with loads of them. She's now doing them almost daily. And, if I have a weekly show, great. If I can just keep in touch with a couple of people at a time and get them on like I have last week and this week and next week, hopefully, I'll do another show. If not, there won't be a Flat Earth UK next week, but hopefully there will be and I'll have a guest on.
All right, cool.
But you've been a gem. You've been really, really good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you ever want to get us on again, we can do that. But because you haven't even talked about 5% of stuff. To be honest, that's just nothing.
You can't though. We haven't scratched the surface. But this is more like a friendly chat.
Yeah, I said the topics are huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
For NASA, topics are huge. Yeah.
But we've basically highlighted a lot of NASA stuff. Hopefully it's been an enjoyable watch. Next time, hopefully we'll have the live chat working. But it would be good. It's great to have you back on. If you're around on Google Hangouts, hopefully there's more UK people that connect and do this more often. It's great that you said it on I think your trailer for this. That it's great that the Aussies are doing it. It's great that the Americans are doing it.
Yeah, I wasn't knocking.
Now I know you weren't knocking it down. That's kind of why I say it a bit tongue in cheek. We love you guys. We love the Americans. In my last video, I was saying the things about the Mandela effect and ignorance. And you think after you've said it, God, I don't want people to be so alienated from me for being some pompous British asshole. Don't take me wrong. And I'm sure you're no different.
I'm saying nothing.